Coming up, he was told that he had only months to live. See how prayer helped prove doctors wrong. And home design expert Shannon Acheson discusses her new book, The Clutter Fix. Well, welcome to 700 Club Canada. I'm so glad you joined us today because seriously, you're going to be schooled right now in how to get your house in order. And I mean, literally. The theme of our show is, will I get through this? Well, right now you might think, am I going to get through the clutter and mess and chaos in my life? Kids are back to school. We all want to clean up our house. We want a fresh start. Well, we've got the guest today for you. Did you know that clutter in your life and in your home says something about your personality? True. Here to explain is home design expert Shannon Acheson, who's written a new book called The Clutter Fix, the no-fail, stress-free guide to organizing your home. Wow, Shannon, that's quite the title. I love it already. Welcome back to 700 Club Canada.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me again.
Well, we learned so much from you. I follow all your stuff online. I read your book, so I'm looking forward to this. But I love that you say in this book, clutter isn't just about the stuff. It's about how we feel in our homes and how we live out our lives. It's actually mental and emotional, not just physical. Okay, tell me more about what you mean.
Well, everything in our space that surrounds us most definitely contributes to how we feel. And if your space is cluttered and messy or dirty or any of those things, it's going to make it really hard to be calm and feel like you can handle things and go about your day to day if things don't have a place and if there's too much stuff everywhere.
Yeah. You know, I think it's so true. I hate clutter. I have to admit, it doesn't mean I'm clutter-free, but I really hate clutter. And part of it is, I have this thing about, it just clears my space so that I can think better, right?
Yeah.
Well, you say we have organizational personalities, so I'm very intrigued by this. What are they, and how does knowing these personalities help you declutter your space?
Well, so there's 4 of them. Everything out. They're based on 4 characteristics. So everything out or nothing out. So that's sort of based on how you see things, how you like to see things. Do you want things behind hidden doors, or do you want to see where they are? Because for some people, behind closed doors means out of sight, out of mind, and they will forget it's there. They won't even, it's gone. And the other 2 characteristics are simple and detailed. And so that obviously speaks to, do you want things in big bins, or do you want things like you've got a container for paper clips, a container for pens, a container for, every little thing. And so those 4 characteristics make up the combined 4 organizing personalities. And those help you so that, once you've cleared out some clutter, those ones are really important in the sort of, once you're trying to keep things organized and keep things clutter free, because they will help you, know which organization system works for you, because not all of them will work for you. They just won't.
Well, I think that's an amazing point, because the person who's maybe simple, detailed, maybe they're the neat and tidy, right? Not everybody lives like that.
No, we have, and you probably have a variety in your house too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So one of the biggest struggles that we experience is, actually, where do we begin? So you're suggesting that this personality, understanding how you function best or how you declutter best, will help you even start?
It does. Once you get to that place, absolutely. Because so you start by getting rid of, the easy stuff. Nothing sentimental. Don't start there, but start with the easy stuff. Trash, just the easy things. And that's why in the Clutter Fix, there's a list of 120 things you can throw away guilt-free. And then there's also a 10-day decluttering shortcut. And those things I would highly suggest starting with, because it'll give you some quick wins, like you feel like you can actually do it and you're making progress in your home at the same time. And then the organizing personalities will really help you keep things that way after you do that.
Oh my goodness, I'm a thrower-outer, so that list, that would be like a party for me.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
But it would create a lot of stress for my husband.
Maybe.
Right? Because this is...
Don't throw out his stuff.
Oh, I don't throw out his stuff. Oh, I get it. Okay. But that is so good, because sometimes we have the thrower-outer, right? And then the one who doesn't want to. So we're trying to declutter. We're starting with, what works for us. But how do you then
Right.
get others on board? Like, I'm not trying to, put my husband on the spot, but really, how do you get
Poor
others
guy.
on board, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the real question is, you might be able to get them on board, you might not, but that shouldn't stop you from decluttering anyways. So some of the key things with trying to get someone on board is don't force them, give them a lot of encouragement, make it easy for them. So have containers there for tossing, for giving away and donating, and just really encourage them and communicate, as is the big thing in everything, marriage, everything else, right? Communicate with them and really find out why, if they're pushing back, why they're pushing back, and then work with them on that. But don't let that stop you from decluttering everything else in the house if it's really something that you need to do for your house. So you might be able to get them on board, you might not. I've got some ideas in the book for how to do it that are a little more specific, but then, and with kids, obviously you help them in a little different way, and that's covered too. So it's encouraging them and really making it easy for them.
That's so good. What do you think is underneath the reason why people don't like to get rid of stuff? I know that's a loaded question.
That is. There's a whole other chapter about why we collect clutter, and there's several reasons for that too. So it could be anything from worrying about needing it later, so fear, or sentimental things are really hard for some people to get rid of as well. So there's a lot of reasons for that, and I've tried to brainstorm as many as I could think of and sort of list why and how to counteract that in the book as well.
I think that's so good. That's what I love about your writing, Shannon. It's not just, it is very practical. I like your lists because it's step by step, but it also gets to the underneath emotional stuff. Like in this
Well, it's
case,
important.
yeah, and they're often the things that hinder us, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I can give you all the checklists you want, but if there's something holding you back underneath, then you're not going to use the checklist. So you need both. You need that the why and the how to.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Exactly. And that's what you do so well. So just
Thank you.
just a brief moment left. We've decluttered our houses now. How do we
Yeah.
keep it that way?
You need to set up rhythms and routines and habits that will help you to do that going forward. And yeah, so those will help you do it so much easier if you get those in place.
Well, I again love your writing. Your home decor book was amazing. That was one of our, gifts for viewers a while back. And now we strongly encourage you to get a copy of Shannon's newest book, The Clutter Fix. It's just going to make your life so much freer and hopefully for everyone else around you too. So go to 700club.ca to find more about Shannon and her book. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you so much for having me.
And now, Tom was given only months to live, and this is how prayer changed everything.
Shock, fear of the unknown. You don't know what to say. There is nothing you can say. It was like our world just stopped.
In 1996, Tom and Sid Renfro were living comfortable lives in their small town of Coburn in the Virginia mountains. Tom was a well-respected physician and had a thriving medical practice. Life was good until December of that year when Tom was diagnosed with mantle cell lymphoma, a very rare, aggressive cancer already in its final stage. There was no cure. At 41 years old, Tom was told he had just a few months to live.
What is my family going to do? How am I going to provide for my family? What are we anticipating? What are we going to be going through?
His oncologist said chemotherapy would only prolong the inevitable and the side effects would impair his quality of life.
He was saying, you've got a limited amount of time, and I want you to make the best of what time you have left before the ravages of this disease gets hold of you.
Tom and Sid decided to forego the treatment and stand on their faith and believe God for a miracle.
I knew I had reached the maximum the medicine had to offer. But as a Christian and a man that was walking in faith, I knew that I had not reached the limits of God.
As the cancer ravaged Tom's body over the next several months, trusting and believing wasn't always easy.
I would feel the tumors. They weren't getting smaller, they were getting bigger. And despair would set in. I'm getting worse and not better. And the way I would counteract that is I would pull the scriptures out. And the more I spent thinking on the words of God, the less the despair and the worry, the frustration had on me.
I had to rely on God. I had to rely on the scriptures I had hidden in my heart. Either we trust or we don't. And I had to trust.
They weren't the only ones asking God for a miracle. By now, thousands of people throughout the region were storming heaven in prayer, especially their own church family.
And I would call and I'd say, I don't see how he can live if God doesn't help him right now. Many nights they went all night.
I had people around me saying, look, Tom, we're standing in faith. We serve a God that's unlimited in power and ability. We want you to continue to hold on in faith because I'm believing. Sid even told me, I get up every morning expecting the Lord to heal you.
Tom's condition rapidly deteriorated. Doctors believed his death was just days away. With Christmas approaching, they administered chemo, hoping it would buy time for Tom to spend the holidays with his family. Immediately, right before their eyes, a miracle unfolded.
I noticed that the tumors on my neck had softened, and it wasn't happening just here, it was under my arms. And then they started shrinking, and life, it just flooded into me. Where there was weakness and there was worry, now there was hope, there was joy, there was anticipation.
And good things would come. Tom went back to his practice and would lead a full and happy life with Sid. And the cancer, it never returned. Over the years, Tom and Sid have rarely missed an opportunity to tell their story. In fact, Tom recently wrote a book about his miraculous journey and God's healing power.
I wrote Avenues of Healing, Reaching for the Healing Power of God, to equip people with understanding of what's going on, what the enemy is trying to do, where sickness and disease comes from, and to encourage people on getting into the presence of God. Words cannot express my gratitude to the Lord. It's changed the way I look at things. It's changed my understanding of my role as a physician, and I can see things in a little bit different light that brings greater joy and understanding to me compared to where I was before this illness hit my life.
Maybe as you were watching that story, you were thinking, yeah, I need God to heal me. So how does it work? Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not an expert and I don't understand everything, but I have learned 3 things about God and healing. The first thing I've learned in life is that God actually delights in healing people. It was a key element of Jesus' ministry, and I have seen it so many times in my own ministry. I've just learned God is a good father who knows exactly what you're going through, so keep asking. The second thing I've learned is that, yeah, God is good, and he only does what is absolutely best. Now, sometimes that means, yes, we are delivered from our trials, but I've also learned that sometimes it means we have to go through the trial, and it's because it will actually make us stronger. Sometimes it brings us back to him or helps us focus on what is most important. And sometimes it puts us in places that we can share our faith. So the second thing I've learned is you just have to trust him even in the struggle. And the third thing I've learned is you got to stay focused on what really matters. I think sometimes we get so hung up on the physical, but the greatest healing is salvation because it's the only thing that is eternal. And what I want to encourage you with today is that heaven is coming. And the promise is that we will all be healed. So in the meantime, keep sharing about the goodness of God because I've been inspired by those who've chosen to do so even in their pain. So can I be healed? Absolutely. Does God heal? Yes, he does. Will he do it today or tomorrow? I'm not sure, but you keep asking, keep trusting, and keep sharing. We have a great resource that I'd love to share with you today. It's for free. You can just call us at 1-855-759-0700. It's called Can I Be Healed? We'd love to pray with you for healing, hear your story, and believe with you for that healing and give you this resource. Call us right now on the screen. After the break, you'll see what happened when Catherine stopped running away from God.
What is an estate plan, and do I need it? An estate plan ensures your stuff will be distributed in the best, most tax-efficient way. We plan so many other things. Why don't we plan our wills? Creating a plan for your will ensures that you have taken into account any tax implications, discussed options for the best way to pass on your stuff, thought about who would be the best executor, and considered your specific situation. 700 Club Canada has partnered with Advisors with Purpose to help you create a personal estate plan. Their services are free, confidential, and no one will sell you anything. Contact Advisors with Purpose today at plan@advisorswithpurpose.ca.
I don't remember her leaving. I don't remember her packing up. I don't remember her saying goodbye. One day she was just gone, and my father was left with all of us.
When Catherine Lopp was just 10, her mother left her 4 children and husband.
My father had a very hard time, and he emotionally checked out. I don't remember doing homework with him or anything, and I just became very lonely and confused, and I was a very sad child.
Catherine became rebellious and sought comfort in alcohol at a young age.
I had a lot of wounds in my spirit. I started believing lots of lies about myself, about abandonment, and, if my mother could abandon me, she must not love me, I must not be worthy of anyone's love. I started drinking, and I got arrested for the first time when I was 12 years old.
At 13, she ran away and began living on the streets.
I didn't care about things anymore. I was going to go out and do what I needed to do to make myself feel whole. I ran away to the streets of Atlanta, and I lived on the streets with other street kids. I lived in an apartment that were abandoned. I started using drugs then too. I smoked marijuana, I tried cocaine, I did LSD for the first time. I was not going to school. My father and my family were looking for me. They actually did find me, and I went back to jail.
Catherine was then sent to live in the young women's residences in Town, where she lived with a stable, loving family.
There was a couple that I lived with, Mac and Carrie, and they figured me out pretty quick. I became a professional at walking around with all of my wounds sealed very well with Band-Aids. They challenged my walls that I had up with pure love. Carrie was the first one that told me about what it was like for her when she asked Jesus to come into her heart. I never really read the Bible. I never learned anything about who Jesus was, why he came. All I knew is that there was a God, and something about him seemed right.
Catherine got clean, made good grades, and was even a cheerleader and prom queen at the high school she attended. Her senior year, she got an unexpected phone call.
It was my mother, and I was very shocked. I had nothing to do with my mom for an entire decade. I was just so happy. I wasn't mad that she had been gone for so long and had nothing to do with me. All I wanted to do was talk to my mother.
The two reconciled for a while, but then their relationship soured, sending Catherine down an emotional spiral again.
After my freshman year in college, I started using drugs again.
Several more arrests followed.
They have a program called Drug Court, and they offer it to first-time offenders. You get randomly drug tested. I relapsed maybe a month later and went AWOL from that program. I got picked up and sent back to jail.
While she was in jail, Catherine began seeking God. Later, her father introduced Catherine to a friend who was a Christian.
She was trying to understand how my life had gotten there. And I told her all about it, and she said, "Catherine, Jesus is here right now." She was like, he wants to heal you. Do you want to be healed? When I prayed with her, I physically felt something leave the center of my body. And I just had this cleansing cry. It was a cry of relief and joy.
Despite the power of this supernatural experience, Catherine was tempted by drugs one last time.
It was the longest stretch of a very dark drug addiction I've ever had in my life. It was so demonic, and I saw demonic things. I went to jail again, February 7th, 2007.
Catherine knew she was done playing games with God.
In that cold jail cell, I chose life that day. And I know in that instant, I was delivered from drug addiction, and my life was never the same after that day. I had a lot of hard work ahead of me. And there were some days Jesus had to drag me through life, and he did. But I chose him every day, no matter how hard it was.
Catherine was once again released to attend a halfway house treatment program. She also began studying scripture and plugged into a local church.
I wanted to know more about this Jesus guy. I started diving into scripture. I was like, I'm going to read this book and see what this is all about. All of a sudden, all of these lies that I believed about myself started being filled with what I call spiritual bricks. Lies started being removed from my spirit, and I had supernatural downloads of truth into my spirit. All of these lies I heard my entire life started leaving.
She is reconciled with her parents and has written her testimony in Undeniable God. She is also involved with a Messianic Jewish dance ministry in Atlanta and knows she is finally free indeed.
Every single thing I had ever experienced with God was confirmed in the Word. In Psalms, there's a verse, I came to heal the brokenhearted and set the captives free. I experienced that. God has been so real in my life. I live a life of wanting to please God because He has been so good and so undeniable to me. He set me free. He healed me and swung the prison door wide open. It was just up to me to walk out.
Wow. Catherine's story is so powerful, isn't it? She was trapped under the power of lies. But when she chose to follow Christ, she described it this way, and I love this. She said all these lies that she believed about herself started being filled with what she called spiritual bricks. Now, think about this term, spiritual bricks. It's a great description of what truth is like. When you recognize the lies you believe about yourself, God will show you what they are when you ask Him, by the way, if you don't know, and He replaces that lie with His truth, and His truth is like a brick. It has the weight to crush a lie and to replace it with the truth, to rebuild truth into your life. But you have a choice, and Catherine had a choice too. And when she said she had to do the hard work, not only discovering the lies that she believed, but to choose Jesus every day. She had to keep choosing Him to lead her life. And 2 Corinthians 10:5 is a powerful verse. It talks about destroying or crushing lies that are keeping us back. Listen to what it says. We demolish arguments and every pretension or lie that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. So here's in this verse, it's describing lies and thoughts that are in our mind that we need to take captive to Christ. What does that mean? It's like taking that spiritual brick of truth. What does Jesus say about you? And replacing that in place of the lie. It will crush the lie. And this is the freedom that comes to us. We have a resource called Free Indeed. You need to get this. It will really help you understand what Catherine's talking about and how you can also have freedom in your life. Call us today, 1-855-759-0700. We'll be right back with a word from one of our ministry partners.
I'm Kate Moore, and on behalf of Safe Hope Home, I want to say a personal thank you for partnering with 700 Club Canada. Because of our work together, we are reaching so many young, vulnerable women in our communities with the gospel and doing some amazing work in supporting them towards healing, recovery, and leading a life of faith. We would not be able to do what we do without you. So thank you, partners, and God bless you.
I want to invite you to become a partner today. For as little as $20 a month, you can join, and using Pledge Express, which is an automatic monthly withdrawal system, you can make sure that your money comes to us effectively and most efficiently in ways that we can impact partner ministries all across this amazing nation. And as our gift to you for becoming a partner today, we have this amazing new CD entitled The Lord is My Shepherd, a Psalm of David. And if you're like me and you love the original language, he unpacks the Hebrew and its meaning, and it is very, very powerful. So please consider partnering with us today. Get our free resource, and let's make a difference together in this great nation. Call us at 1-855-759-0700.
Want to do a meditation on the Psalm of David, Psalm 23.
Gordon Robertson presents The Lord is My Shepherd, a Psalm of David.
Each verse is a guide for us in our life. And it's a beautiful illustration for me of how Jesus leads us. What happens when we fully embrace the Lord is my shepherd?
Get The Lord is My Shepherd, the latest audio teaching from Gordon Robertson. Call now.
Well, Laura, I've really enjoyed our show today. I really enjoyed your interview with Shannon. My only question was, is there an organizational category called I'm Beyond Hope? That was my only question.
You strike me as a kind of person who likes clutter. You don't
I
like
do
clutter.
not like clutter.
And I know your wife, Carlene, does not like clutter.
No, but it's very funny because our garage, which is my domain, somehow continually finds things, gathers, collects. It's a hoarder. My garage is a hoarder. We're not. My garage is.
It's amazing, honestly, how much stuff, like, you're stunned at how much quickly. How's that for English?
Yeah, perfect. Well, but you know, it was interesting.
How quickly things gather, right?
Well, and I was thinking about it actually in a spiritual context as you were talking. We do the same thing in our spiritual life. When we don't declutter the voices, the noises, the distractions, there's no room left for God. And I thought, really powerful book on your home, which is important, but even more your heart.
Yeah, and Shannon actually makes that bridge, so it's a great
good book.
Look out, go to 700club.ca to find out more info on her book. But here's some praise reports. Love this. Sunita said, because of watching testimonies on the 700 Club Canada, my daughter has been touched and now wants to know Jesus. I give the Lord all the praise and glory. Woohoo! Well, we do too. That is like, honestly, the reason we do what we do.
Absolutely. And for all of you who partner with us, this is why we do it together. So thank you for that. And a rule said, I called for prayer for my wife, and God touched her body and healed her before going to the hospital. Praise God for answering prayers. And again, on my reflection today, I just do believe that God heals. Actually, He wants to heal some of you right now. Just ask. Call us. We would love to pray with you.
That's right. And Hebrews 12:1-2, this verse is for someone for sure. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us.
Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of faith.
You don't have to do it all alone, you know?
That's
the
right.
decluttering of the house or the decluttering of your mind, like, just go to God. He loves to help with everything.
He's pretty organized.
He's pretty organized. Thanks for watching today. Give us a call.
To contact us, visit 700club.ca.